goals are, what their whys are, as human beings, as people, not necessarily just as basketball players. And so it's a common thread you see that when you're able to recruit the type of student athletes we are on the level they are.
Have you noticed any changes the past few months as far as, you guys have always gotten great players, but it seems like these past few months, kind of getting back in with those top 5 recruits? I know you can't talk about anybody specifically, but is anything changed? What's changed, I guess?
I don't think anything's changed. I mean, we've finished first or second in whatever you want to consider the recruiting rankings every year. I know since Cal's been here, since I've been here with him, we finished first or second in recruiting rankings, so I don't see that there's been any change, and you can tell that by the success we've had on the floor. You don't win 150 games in 5 years and not have really good players.
What's the biggest challenge when you get those guys in there? I mean, you're talking about guys who are all becoming the alpha dogs their whole life, their whole basketball life.
Yeah, it goes back to the growth, and it goes back to the teenagers that age, like we were. We thought we knew it all. We were hard-headed. We thought we had the world beat and understood, and helping them grow and helping them understand how you can help them grow in certain areas. And it goes back to the old saying, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the biggest thing. And it's kind of easier as one of the recruiters because you're establishing and building that relationship and that connection early on in the process.
With the NCAA taking that step closer to a player to make money off his name and likeness, hypothetically down the road whenever it happens, how much of an advantage could that be for this program just because of the UK brand?
Well, in terms of that, the SEC has released a statement, and we've been advised that we're going to have no comment on it and just go along with what the SEC has released as a conference.
Okay. Tony, where's this team defensively right now?
I think it's ahead of where we were last year. And again, I always talk about half-court defense starts at the point of attack, your point guard. And as good as Ashton became defensively through all the course of last year, he wasn't like that to start the year. Now you have an experienced player like him back. You've got an experienced guard like Emmanuel Quickly back that they can lead and become the example for the younger guys as you're trying to teach them individual defense, team defense, our system, how we do things. It makes it easier when you have that kind of experience at the point of attack with those guys.
Rebounding was something Cal mentioned following that Georgetown game. Has that been an extra point of emphasis here these past couple days?
Yeah, and it's been a point of emphasis throughout the preseason, if you want to call it, practices. We know we've got to be a better team rebounding. You know, you don't have a guy like Reed, you don't have a guy like PJ who can own their paint that way. Now Nick and EJ and Nate all have those similar qualities. Now they've got to go do it, but we had so much rebounding out of our wings last year from Keldon and from Tyler and those guys that we've got to get our guards and our wings understanding that they've got to contribute in the rebounding, not just depend on our big guys.
You talked about growth of the players. Always wanted to ask a coach this. How have you grown over the past couple of years here?
Well, no matter what situation you're in, whether it's considered a success or a failure, I've always looked at it as a learning opportunity. And, you know, stepping back as an assistant from my years as a head coach has been no different. It's been my opportunity to learn and to grow from other people because how Cal has done things at Kentucky was different than how we did them at Memphis. It was a chance to learn and grow there and learn and grow from the assistants that I've been around here from Joel, from Kenny, that are different than maybe the way I see things. So I think every opportunity is an opportunity to learn and grow in your profession and or personally as well. But since we're talking coaching in general, it's been a great learning experience.
I guess you know him probably better than anybody.
Who's that?
You coach Cal.
Well,
I mean,
we've been around each other for a long time.
So what has changed in all those years that you've seen in him as a coach?
His approach to coaching players has changed. I mean, with age, with experience, you know, he was more aggressive when I played for him as a coach. And he still has that. I'll tell you what hasn't changed is the competitive spirit and the competitive fire. And that, how you are as a coach, transfers over to how your players see the game. And that's why his teams are always so competitive and so hungry and so fiery on the floor. That hasn't changed, but his approach to how he gets them to do that has changed.
If there's one guy that you've coached here that you could model his mentality, his approach to this program and what it takes here, and give it to every guy that walks in the door, who would that be?
You know, we talked about it, the assistants we went to lunch today. I'll tell you a guy we talked about at lunch that kind of fits that question is P.J. Washington. You know, we as a coaching staff, but we as the general public, we see these guys who are 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", or guards as fast as as anybody in the world, and we don't understand they're kids still. These are 17, 18-year-old young men who are trying to grow into adults, and they're not all ready-made products. And they've got to learn, and they've got to change, and they've got to adapt. And for me, nobody's done that better than PJ here, who it was a roller coaster ride with PJ. How he saw things, how he saw the game, the emphasis that he put on things that in the game of basketball that weren't necessarily important, and how it caused him to be up and down for his first year. And I think it was very mature of him to make the decision he did to come back for his second year and use it to learn and grow. And for him to learn, grow, and change how he saw the game coming in the door to the changes he made, it's no surprise for us as we see what he's doing in the NBA right now. It's because that he was honest in his evaluation of himself, and he was able to change in that way. So I think PJ would be, there's been so many of them, but off the top of the head, I think PJ would be that guy for me right now.
Is there a guy on this roster that really embodies that sort of understanding of what it takes and the work it takes?
I think all the returners, I think they all got to Nick, EJ, Emmanuel, and Ashton. They got to see PJ go through the changes he had to make, and it's not easy when you got to self-evaluate and be honest with yourself. And he was able to change his game, and you see the benefits that we derived from it, but so did he.
Seems like Emmanuel's really heavily bought into that.
And I think all four of them have. And so it'll be interesting to see as the season progresses. Can they continue that growth? Because they come back. It doesn't stop now. They still got to continue to grow and get better through the course of the season.
Tony, can you give us an update on Nick? I'm sure you're going to.
I mean, he's day to day. From what I saw from the medical staff, he's day to day in his injury.
He's not going to play tomorrow, is he?
I don't have the slightest idea other than him being day to day.
How badly or how much do you guys need him to be what you want to be?
No different than anybody else on this team. We need them all. Yeah, they all have to play an important role. It'd be no different than any team we've had here or last year's team. And they're all important in their roles on this team. And Nick's experience up front will be badly needed.
I'm sure you've been around sprained ankles many times. As sprained ankles go, what was that one like to look at? You know what I mean?
I mean, I didn't look at it.
I didn't look at a replay?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I mean, I saw the replay, but it's no different than any sprained ankle that you see. So, Nick's been diligent in his rehab, and I know he's going to do everything he can to be back with his team on the court, even start tomorrow. But who knows at this point, because I'm not the trainers, I'm not the doctors.
When Nick went down, Keon slid over to the 4. How do you think he responded with that?
He responded well. The thing about this team is we can play a lot of different styles, and how we talk about positionless basketball. I mean, you've got guys, most of these guys, the bigger guys, Keon grew up as a center in the game and transformed his game into a wing position. No different than Khalil. All these guys. EJ, who was a guard his whole life, then he had his growth spurt and became more of an interior player, even though he can do both. So we could play small, we could play big if we wanted to, we could play traditional game. I think that's what's a plus for this team, that we've got, if one guy is down, we can play a different style, and we've been working on that in practice.
What determines that, Tony? Is it matchups, or how do you determine, okay, we'll go small this game? I'm assuming it can be alternated.
It could be game to game, it could be possession to possession, it could be half to half. I think it just depends on the flow of the game, matchups, opponent, all those different things determine that.